Okay, good morning. My name is Kelly Dowell. I am the owner of Online. We do digital marketing for the lawn and landscaping industry. And today I am sitting here with three really awesome tech savvy gurus that you're going to learn all about. And they each serve a little bit different niche in our green industry. So, Joel, let's start with you, and everybody just give an introduction. Let's hear your story. 3 or 4 minutes or so on how you got into the green industry and where you're at now.
Can you hear me? Okay. So in 2011, in high school, my brother and I started a lawn care business, and we were in Cedar. We grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. If any of y'all know where that is. And we just started mowing properties, mowing neighbors' lawns, and we quickly grew that business. Originally, it was just a way to save money for college, but we ended up holding that business and growing it for about 9 years. And then in 2019, we sold that business. And so I had always experimented while we ran that business. We started a robotics company. We started doing robotic mowers. We even did a dog uh, waste removal business. We quickly shut that down. We didn't like it. And then we had always tried to build little technology to help us run more efficiently. Well, in 2020, I started working on what is now Deep Lawn, my software company. I'm the CEO. We're based in Austin, Texas. And Deep Lawn really helps solve a lot of the problems that we faced at our lawn care business. And one of those was we would always send a salesperson out to a property with a measuring wheel to measure lawns and give a quote. And as technology has progressed, consumers have changed dramatically. COVID really accelerated that. Um, a lot of homeowners don't want to wait 2 days or a week to get a quote. So, especially for like lawn maintenance, lawn care, and pest control services. So, we started Deep Lawn to help solve that problem. And so, we have a full suite of tools, e commerce tools, so that any lawn care company can sell their services directly on their website. And then also, office staff can generate quotes and get it in the hands of the customer, within seconds rather than waiting 48 hours and all that. So, right now, I'm full time running that in Austin, Texas.
Let me ask you a quick follow-up question because you said that you have done all these little different ventures, including, dog waste and stuff like that. What makes Deep Lawn different? Why are you so excited about Deep Lawn and passionate and sticking with this one?
So, well, we were the first in the world to create AI to generate lawn measurements. So we really changed the game with that. It was not a thing before we built our AI models. And then there was never a way for homeowners to be able to go on a lawn care company's website and sign up in seconds. The traditional way is you'd call them and you'd hope that somebody answered, which most of the time they don't. Our lawn care company tried to answer phones, but in the spring it gets very busy. You can only hire so many office people to answer so many calls. Um, so we really wanted to change that, and just seeing how our product impacts companies and seeing how the cost to acquire a customer gets dropped dramatically. The close rates go up way up. They can spend less and be more efficient. It's awesome to see that, and it's fun. It's fun running this business.
Awesome. Cool. All right, let's go to Bob Yard.
Hey everyone, nice to see everybody. Thanks by the way for organizing this. I'm Michael, the founder and CEO of Bobyard, and we basically train AI models to extract measurements and understand meaning from construction drawings. And specifically, we focus on the landscape industry, and we help contractors with takeoffs and estimates. And how I got started in this, pretty long story. I think I was one of those kids growing up who watched Bob the Builder a lot. You'll notice we're called Bobyard. Uh, yeah, it's really why. Yeah. And I grew up in the Bay and went to Stanford to study computer science and AI, and really actually it was mostly math. I was biking between my AI class and this like real estate class, and we were talking about takeoffs and eventually pre-construction. And so eventually I connected the dots, like, hey, there's something here. I remember seeing takeoffs for the first time I think the professor showed us like this is pre-construction. You try to understand the drawings ahead of time to quote and also understand the risk in a set of drawings for the project. And I remember seeing that for the first time. It's like people actually go through and measure things. It's got to be very time consuming. And I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity to make this new, very powerful technology more accessible to an industry that really I don't think has seen as much innovation, especially in software, right? And so it's been really amazing actually to work with landscapers and contractors to innovate in the space and build products for them.
Quick follow-up question on that as well. So why the green industry? Like you could have picked like a construction or home building or something like that and done AI. So what makes the green industry unique for what you do?
I think there are actually a lot of reasons why green industry, why green. It was a very non-trivial decision in the beginning, actually. So we had early customers in every trade because, every trade does takeoffs, and we automate really arbitrary measurements from the drawings. I think for quite a few reasons. Mainly, it's first, it's volume. So landscaping is like a very large industry, and the types of drawings and land contractors had to deal with is pretty intense. Like there's like thousands and thousands of plants and shrubs you have to quantify, and like thousands and thousands of feet of piping. Not many other trades have this kind of quantity in the drawings. And the other thing is that because the drawings are so large, it's outside the building. It's actually a uniquely difficult problem for our AI models to solve. And so something like the intersection of a difficult problem and a valuable problem is opportunity. Yeah.
Great. All right, Brant. So let's move over to you and hear about customer insight now and your story, your background in the industry, and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Brant Wickman, honored to be on this panel. Smart guys, smart Kelly. I'm just the dumb cluck that's a landscaper over here. So I'm actually out of Lincoln, Nebraska. I started a landscape construction company because I wanted to come back and farm originally, and my dad said, go get a different degree because if farming takes a crap, you need a backdrop. He had a degree in business, agribusiness. So I did that. I went to landscaping school, loved it. Landscape design, horticulture major at University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Met a girl, stayed in town, got married, and I started a landscaping company 2 hours away from home. I do landscape constructions. We do patios, fire pits, waterfalls. I'm actually still running that company right now. I heard a quote a long time ago. It says, work on your business, not in your business. And that should be everybody's goal. Working in your business is one thing, but on your business is a whole nother deal. So I started working on my business, not in the business. And it really accelerated the business, accelerated the product, gave me better customer service, and I really allowed everybody else in my company to step up. When they had to call me for everything and I'd answer everything, it allowed them to step up. So meanwhile, starting first year, a month of work, the next year, 2-3 months of work. My wife's a teacher. We're living off teacher's salary, just hoofing it. And I loved it. It was fun. It just kept growing, growing, growing. I learned how to work on the company. It accelerated, and I loved it. I had the same problem when I started this company to today, that when I grew up in like a farming industry, like you screwed up, that's your fault. It's completely on you. You can yell at whoever you want, but your acres suck, that's on you. In the landscape side, I screw up a bit, it's on me, but you have a whole nother aspect when it comes to a client. You can't control the client. You don't know who the client is. You don't know how they manage their money. You don't know how good they are with their money. That aspect drove me crazy because we could do everything right and you still didn't please the client. We could screw things up and that client was like, hey, dude, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I don't care. So like that whole aspect, dealing with people, dealing with sales, understanding a client it was mind-blowing to me. I always got frustrated when a client could review a landscape construction company, a mowing company on a million different platforms. We got BBB, we got Google reviews, we have, on and on Facebook. You could see, we went out to eat at an Italian restaurant last night and it said like 4,000 reviews, 4.8 stars. We're like, yeah, let's go, right? It's great. But yet we'll bid a $200,000 job and be like, well, they got an Audi, so they're probably rich. We know nothing. And so I went and tried seeking out technology for that, for my own company, how I could get that. Individually, through the some channels that they have, and it wasn't quite what we've just built. It wasn't cost effective. It took a lot of work just to get everything that we got. So I said, why don't we create it? I'm kind of the guy, I don't know if you call it ADD or just not content, but like, what's the next thing? How can I get bigger? What can be next? And which I think a lot of people share, especially in this room. I wanted to find the best mousetrap for this. So we created Customer Insight Now. It gives you a background on your customer. It's amazing. I love it. I use it. I'll give you a couple examples of what we use, but when you create a background on your customer, you click on their address, you click it, it preloads information that says this is their disposable income they have every year, this is their average or their estimated credit score, this is their ability to pay from 1 to 1,000, discretionary income index, which that can tell you if they're very frugal or if they spend all their money, and it can tell you things up to what their lifestyle is. I just had somebody back there look up one of their past clients and it said House of Cards. And so like their financial status is could fall at any time. So like we get this information. We have 3 different API calls that we pull this information in for me, for you, for clients to look up, or for contractors to look up their clients. I don't care if you're starting out, every dollar counts. And even when you're bigger, we've heard all these speakers, streamline everything, make sure you get your best revenue. All those matter, and they matter to me. And as a contractor, I knew contractors would like it. And so we started this. I think we've been in business for maybe 5-6 months. We've been live. So very infantile. The feedback has been awesome. We're very excited about it, but that's kind of the background of me.
So from a practical standpoint, you pull up this customer and they are a complete mess. What's the conversation?
That's up to you. Depends on how you want to approach it. I mean,
what are the best practices that you guys recommend?
yeah, so a couple things. Like we've grown our company to a point where we do high-end work. And we try to vet people with our website and type forms like, hey, if they don't want us, that's okay. If we see something where the demographic lifestyle, the dollar amount isn't where we want it to be, we have a couple of options, right? Like if I really want this client, we really need the work, I'll figure out a way. Hey, do you want to do financing for this? Like we can look up financing companies. How are you going to pay for this? You just have those conversations. If it's really bad and you still want to do the job, hey, we do 50% up front. We do 20% in 3 days, and then we'll do 20%. So you're mitigating your risk as well. Even simple things. I had a job. The first client I ever looked up on this app, it was 2 hours west of our shop, and I don't like driving out of town. It was a $180,000 job. His client was qualified in my head, but I didn't know for sure. I looked him up on our app, and his disposable income every year was like $260,000 a year. The boys were heading west. Like it's a great job. I got per diem in it. We're good. So it's how, if they have the numbers and they have the finances, you can feel comfortable. We had somebody back there. They gave a $10,000 bid to a guy. He was a younger kid, and he was like shaking, giving him the bid. He's like, God, it's a lot of money, right? And I've been there, believe me. But he looked him up, and it was like his disposable income's $360,000. He goes, if I would have known that, I'd have been like, here's 10 grand. Do you want to do it or not? Like it gives people confidence going into a bid, and it can help you structure around how you bid.
That's awesome. All right, we'll come back to that. Joel, I want to go back over to you since you've probably Deeplon's been around a little bit longer than these two. What have you seen as far as scaling, and how has Deeplon grown from the very beginnings into what it is now? What changes have you made, and what's the future look like?
Yeah, I think most of our growth early on was just talking to customers. Competitors of our customers would see Deeplon on their website. So we kind of built in a little bit of economies of scale, or I don't know what the term is for that, but that really helped us. And just word of mouth early on. Definitely going to a lot of the conferences like this. I think this year we're probably not going to go to quite as many conferences. We're going to do more online. More and more people. I think that is the way to get in front of as many people as you can. Conferences are still great, though. It's great to be at peer groups. It's great to go to these and talk to other people, be inspired. We also have done a lot with like Facebook marketing. We've done email outreach. those have been the primary ways. I think later this year we're going to start to build a sales team. We've never done outbound, so we're going to probably start to do some of that and grow. We definitely have. We've grown in a different way than I grew my lawn care business. For that, we were very early with like Google Ads, Facebook ads, getting a lot of like local reviews. But when you're selling software in the across the U.S. and Canada, it's a little bit different. So we're also gonna. I think we're gonna do a ton with YouTube, a ton with video. We're gonna do a lot more on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been a great way to get in front of as many of the top 100 lawn care companies. Many of them use us now. So yeah, we've scaled. We have 15 full-time employees working for Deep Lawn. So we're gonna continue to grow.
How has the product itself changed? Has it? I mean, you said you were like the first AI model. So is it easier now for the client to go in there and measure their property than it was maybe how many years ago?
Yes, we launched in 2021.
Okay.
So yeah, it was very clunky. If you look back at
Okay.
early Deep Lawn, it's like similar to looking back at what Google looked like when Google launched. Even worse, probably.
That'd make for a good little post. We want to see it.
Yeah. Or Amazon back in the day was very clunky, but we prioritized the function of the product, and then I always knew that we would eventually make it look better. And I don't have a very good eye for design, but we have people on my team that are. So I let them kind of take care of that. So the product, we've spent a lot of time making it more seamless for the customers, just reducing friction and trying to not make it clunky because a lot of softwares out there are very, very clunky. And there's, 100 clicks. I'm always trying to minimize how many clicks it takes. And if you're in an office for a lawn care business, you're having to click hundreds of screens. You're doing a lot. So you don't want to add more friction to it. So that's primarily like the original AI. We've definitely improved it. We've made it faster, more accurate. That we've increased the precision. But a lot since then has just been developing the product, integrating to a lot of the CRMs and a lot of the software out there, and just improving customer experience, usability.
So Deep Lawn does talk to some of the CRMs, like as Aspire, LMN, those sort of things. Do they communicate measurements?
Yep, we integrate with almost all of them, and the ones we don't. So we're going to integrate with LMN later this year via Zapier. We'll have a Zapier integration and then be able to integrate with pretty much all of them. But we have a direct to Aspire, Field Routes, Service Autopilot, Jobber.
That's awesome.
A lot of them.
Yeah, that definitely will reduce some clicks. So I don't know if you guys are wondering, but I'm wondering here. We've got two estimating softwares sitting side by side. So Michael, I'm going to ask you, what's the difference between what it is that you're doing at Bob Yard and what Joel's doing at Deep Lawn? And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I think so. Mainly, it's actually the purpose and the profile of the customer. Actually, Deep Lawn's quite cool. It's like Shopify before landscapers. For us, it's mainly about it's like a tool to basically give your pre-con team superpowers. It's like basically it's for larger companies or companies that do more volume. I think that's really like the buckets. It's like if you have really large commercial projects or you do a lot of projects, that's like a lot of volume. And so, the more plants you have to count, the more measurements you have to do, the more we automate, the more time you save you. And I guess the second bucket is like if you're really wanting to grow, I guess the industry is in a very special spot where, the industry itself is growing and everybody wants to grow, but it's very, very hard to grow headcount. And not everybody wants to grow headcount. Like, I think more than 50% of the execs in this industry think that their number one problem is like finding, acquiring, onboarding, training, and retaining really high quality skilled employees. Like it's definitely the hardest problem, and estimators are definitely a part of that. And so what we want to help businesses do is actually like transform your current team and empower them to do a lot more with the same team, just with superpowers from like different products and better AI models. And that's really what we think in terms of like our philosophy in building. Our product, yeah, it's mainly for estimators to do takeoffs and estimates for the landscape. It's mainly bid build as well. Yeah.
Can you tell us like a client story? Like give us a case study, a good use story of Bob Yard in action.
Yeah, I think like our product has pretty high ROI. I think we were doing some math the other day. It's like at least 6 to 8x, and it depends on the company. And really, it's like there's a company in the Bay. They're pretty sizable. 20, 30 mil ish, something like that, and they want to grow, and they have ambitions to like double that in a few years. Um, and but they already have a pretty big team, and it's like I don't really know if I want to hire more estimators. Like a few estimators just left, and it was like huge pain to refill those positions. And they onboarded Bob Yard, and we asked them just the other day, and they were like, yeah, we from like number of hours worked to produce each bid, from like getting the drawings from the GC or the owner or something like that, and sending in the proposal, like the number of hours worked went down by 60 to 80%. So it's like what a huge transformation. And it's actually often the case, like you were talking about, working on your business versus working in your business. I think Justin was talking about this yesterday as well. It's like we have owners doing the takeoffs and estimates themselves. And it's like, it's very crucial to your business because you have to win jobs as an owner. And in the early days, this is what you got to do. But if you want to scale and grow and sort of go to the next stage, you have to like step away from that. And really a huge way we've been able to help owners do that is like, you can just do the takeoffs way, way faster, like in an instant. And now you can do the things that only you can do. Because like if you're the owner of a business or you're an exec, like there are things in the business that only you can do. I'm sure like, we're all owners there. There's like specific things that only you, the CEO, can do. And so if you want to maximize your impact on the company, you have to only do things that only you can do. And you have to try to delegate as much as you can away from that. But yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So we did get onto the topic of ROI. So let's go there. And Brent, we'll start with you. Let's hit on the ROI aspect of it. And I know you just started this about 6 months ago, so it might be a little bit harder to measure in your case, but also it would probably be very instantaneous too. So talk about ROI of your product.
Yeah, so ROI, I mean, huge upside, low input cost, high upside of even walking away from a job. Sometimes the ROI is better. But yeah, I guess I can tell you 2 stories of clients that use Customer Insight now and how they used it, and it was impeccable. We actually have on our booth over there Blake. Blake Kai he's the landscaper. The homeowner said we need 3 $30,000 designs. One from you, one from you, one from you, just like they always do, right? And where she thought of $30,000, I have no idea, but that's just was in her head. That's 30,000. Like Susie up the street said hers was, so mine has to be too, even though you can only get a wheelbarrow in there. So we need 3 $30,000 designs. Blake's client of ours, he looked her up. Her ability to pay, everything was high. So it was really good, but she had her disposable income every year was $120,000. So as he said, she can afford more, but she's asking for 30. His 2 competitors had no idea. They're just up $30,000 design, put it out there, designer, put it out. He gave her a $30,000 design. Then he also, in his structure studios, he uses online. Once you build it, it's really easy just to add stuff. He put a pergola in, he put a water feature, he put a fire pit. He goes, hey, I love your backyard. It's just awesome. And I know you said 30,000, but once I have it in the program, it's so easy to add stuff. And like, this hill looks awesome. Like, just kept selling the crap out of her. Like this is great. If you don't want to, no big deal. We do have this $30,000 design. And once you get heated seats, you never go back from heated seats. She saw the $90,000 design. He knew it wasn't pushing her range of the financial ability that she could pay, and he landed a $90,000 design. Funny story is one of those competitors came back to him. He's like, you are getting screwed on that job. He said, what are you talking about? You're installing that for $30,000? He said, no, I'm doing it for $90,000. He's like, she told me 30. He goes, I know. So I asked Blake, I said, you tell him about my app? No. I was like, jerk. That was one. Another guy is actually out of Texas. It's west of Dallas. He has a plumbing company. He got the app. He sent me the information and said, what do you think? I said, this client can afford anything, but they're very frugal. So just know that going in. He had an HVAC system, he said, and I know it's not landscape related, but it's construction. HVAC system, they need a $500 repair. Repair would have put a Band-Aid on it for a couple months, and it would have broken again, but some people want that. So you got to, know. His available spending amount every year was $380,000. but he was frugal. He said, because I knew the information of the app, I just stayed there and just talked to him. He even brought up his daughter, how she needs to come back from college more, some stuff like that, right? He sold the guy. He said, because I had the confidence of the app, I knew he had the money. I just said, hey, you know, we can do that, but you understand, sold him a $19,000 HVAC job. So the ROI, like our average customer spends $9.95 on a house, less than $10. Those two people, now they're outliers, don't get me wrong, they're really great, but $500 repair or no repair to $19,000, and then a $30,000 job to a $90,000 job. So those are just two examples we use. I told you about the example of me getting a job, being very confident in it because he had the money. But the same thing goes for if you do high-end work and the customer doesn't want the high-end price, sometimes it's better at the beginning to part ways, and it's good for both parties. So that's my take on it. Don't know if I add any more to that, but yeah.
Awesome. Michael, we're going to go back to you, and I want to ask you, what do you think people are missing out on? Should they not use AI? Should they not be using these tools from any one of you guys that are up here, or even a lot of these vendors that are here at the Synced event? What are they missing by not jumping in full force with artificial intelligence?
Okay, that's a pretty good question. So I think there's a lot of things I can say about it. I think Jensen Huang said something about this, like CEO of NVIDIA. And I think it's a very fundamental insight about technology and AI. So it's something like there's not a single job, I think, in the world that I can think of where AI can't do at least part of it much, much better. It's like maybe 10% of this job I can do 1,000 times better with AI. Maybe 25% of this job I can do 500 times better. But at the same time, there's not a single job I can think of in the world where AI can do 100% of that job. And so that's like a very fundamental insight, and it means that AI has to be a tool that you use, and it's going to empower your team to do more. But you're going to have a person use a tool, and it's just like every other technology that's come before, where I think it's a very unique ability for humans. Like another quote, like Steve Jobs had this thing for like bicycles of the mind, where there was like some study where condors were super efficient, like kilometer per like kilojoules or energy spent or something like that. But then humans are really bad. But if you put a human on a bicycle, they were like really, really good. And so Steve Jobs had this quote of like, computers are the bicycles of the mind. And if that's the case, like Bobbitt's probably one of those super sick ones from from John Wick or something, one of those motorbikes. But yeah, so I think really it's think of it like any other tool, and measure the results that come afterwards. I think results really matter. So pull up the metrics and measure the efficiency of a team. What's the turnaround time for quotes? What's the win rate for quotes? How accurate are the quotes? The quality of life of your estimators who have to spend hours and hours in front of the computer estimating all day, and just see the results. And it's always been the case that our customers have been able to achieve a lot more than they would have originally. Like, this is our 3-year roadmap, we want to double, and they can achieve it way, way sooner. And they don't have to worry about massive headcount growth and hiring and all that stuff. So it's like increasing the leverage of your employees. Yeah.
Joel, I want to ask you the same question. Like, what advice would you give to the people who are kind of on the fence about jumping in? What hurdles do they, what are their sales objections when you're chatting with them about Deep Lawn? And how do you help them overcome that and just like take that leap to start using AI?
Yeah, I think AI is a huge multiplier. It can be. So, for instance, one of our customers, Emerald Lawns in Central Texas, they do about $30 million a year. Prior to using us, they would go in person, all their salespeople would go in person and measure the lawns and give a quote, handwritten on paper. So they would, during the spring months, it would take days, sometimes weeks to get to the property, and their close rates were abysmal. So using Deep Lawn, their same sales team can close considerably more property or more sales every year. So when they started using Deep Lawn, Now they get 15% of their new sales happen on their website without a human having to interact at all, which equips their salespeople to follow up with the rest of those leads and spend more time like setting expectations with the customer, which is huge. When you do lawn care, lawn fertilization, weed control, it's important to set expectations. So that's just like one example of how technology can be a multiplier. I don't have any like quotes from Steve Jobs or Jensen, but technology, just like cars, cars did disrupt a bunch of industries when Ford produced the Model T, and because folks were used to driving carriages and horses. So it definitely changed, but it equipped people to be more productive. So I look at that. I look at our technology, Deep Lawn, and the other technologies up here in very much the same way. We're allowing people to have a multiplier effect and be more effective at their jobs, and also giving them more time to be more personable with their clients rather than spending an hour doing a measurement. They can talk to the client and build a good rapport, good relationship with them. So yeah, that's what we usually show them case studies. That's like a big way.
Are they able to demo it online, or do you have free trials? And I guess I would ask this for all of you guys. How can people take a test drive?
Yeah, we don't have any free trials, but we'll give a demo online. We'll let folks do a few measurements. We'll show a few examples of where we're being used on companies' websites. And now we're on many of the top lawn care companies' websites in the country that do residential. So that kind of does the sale for us. So yeah.
What about you, Michael? How do people get started?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a website, and a lot of people will go there, and you can grab a demo with us online. We have a booth right there, and we can give demos. But actually, I think for us, we don't do free trials, mainly because it's like rather expensive to run our models. Like we have to host them somewhere, and if you run the models constantly, it does cost money, and we can't do it for free. But we always do demos, and this is like actually the most important problem our sales teams solve, which is like not even about selling the product. It's about gaining trust and building trust with the customers. And it's very commonly the case. Like all our customers will say, like, yeah, if the product is as described and as advertised as you're telling me it is, like, there's no reason why I don't put it in front of every one of my estimators right now. And so, like, the biggest worry of our sales team is actually the quality of the product. And it's for us, it's almost never about the branding or the perception of our product on the market. It's almost entirely about the experience of the user actually using the product every day. Because like you spend like, I don't know, less than 1%, maybe 0.1% of your time with a product with like the sales team. Almost all of it's about actually using the product once you buy it. And it doesn't matter how great your ads are. If your product is not good and they don't fall in love with it, it doesn't actually matter. Yeah, and so our focus mainly is about the quality of the product.
I love that. Brant, what about you at Customer Insights now? How do people get started? Is there a demo, a free peek at a client?
Yeah, same as you're saying, Bob Baird. We are back there. Feel free. Look, I got a laptop. Look up a customer. It'll sell it. No, we don't have free trial. We do have our barrier to entry is so low. Like we have a special right now. A house is $499. Pay $5, go make a real good impression on your next client, and you're sold. We've found out we have packages. You can buy 25 houses, 35 houses at a time. Keep that each house lower. We pay as a company, same as what you're saying. We have to host the site. We have to build the app. We got to keep it up to date. It is very seamless. It's quick, but from Customer Insight now, we pay per click. So we have to host it. We have to do it, but every time you click a house, we pay. So other than having unlimited, for so many months, we sell it as per click. So that way you can use it as the rate you want to use it. If you want 5 clients this year, you want 100 clients a month, you can do it as you want. So our barrier to entry is very low. You want to try it, go spend $10, $15. It'd be cheaper than the drinks we had last night. And yeah, it's very easy. So
Drinks were free at the golf event.
I didn't pay for them. Somebody paid for them, and they were expensive, I imagine. So,
Joel, let me go back over to you and ask you, how do you kind of strike a balance between making your product innovative and world class, but also keeping it so easy that like a landscaper can do it, you know? Like, or should I say even a homeowner, because they're the ones doing it and they have no green industry knowledge. They're green. So how do you strike that balance?
Yeah, it's important because, and we're still trying to strike it, but homeowners are used to using Uber. They're used to using Uber Eats, like Amazon. So for the experience for homeowners, a lot of times they're going to compare how easy it is to sign up with your lawn care landscaping company to one of the technology companies that they use every day. So your company should try to be as easy as it is to sign up on Netflix or any other subscription service. So a lot of homeowner or a lot of lawn care companies are realizing they have to do that. So we're always trying to make it more seamless. We track our numbers, so we track close rates, we track and we actually can watch in real time or recordings of what consumers do on the Deep Lawn experience on customers' websites. So our team keeps and monitors that to see where drop offs may come, or if people are clicking things that they think are buttons and they're not,
Yeah.
or they can't figure out how to go back. That becomes very apparent when you see those recordings. So we do that, and then for lawn care landscaping companies, we will ask people, hey, what worked? Like, are you confused? Or when we get customer support tickets for the same thing hundreds of times, it becomes quickly apparent that we need to make this more simple. People are not getting it. So yeah, it's not always easy because there's a lot of diversity in landscaping lawn care companies. Some are very tech savvy, like younger folks are. Older, the boomer generation, not as much. The owners of companies. So we have to make it work for mobile phones, for small tablets, desktops, all that. So yeah, it's an ongoing process. It will never end,
Yeah.
I don't think, but yeah.
Isn't that fun when the phones and the tablets always change, so the formatting doesn't work, and you get to change it again and again and again? Gotta love it.
Yep.
Michael, same question for you. How do you strike that balance between innovation and making it easy for your customers to use?
I think we probably spend on the product team just as much time on the models and accuracy as we do on the interface of the models. Like AI is very new, and like there's a lot of really interesting and unanswered questions. It's like, what's like an intuitive way to use an AI model? We teach models to see the drawings and visually extract information. I don't know, like no one's ever built this kind of stuff before. So, we do a lot of things to make sure the contractors and the users are in control of the models. So you have full control over it. You can bound the outputs. If it ever makes a mistake, we highlight potential mistakes. We let you correct it very easily. A lot of it is about building trust with the models, and you have to build an intuition for how the models work. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, like interface. The other thing though is that we're not just like a black box AI model. Like you don't go to a website, upload some drawings, and then you download like an Excel with all the counts of all the measurements and quantities. I don't think anybody would actually. You might say that you want that, but I don't think in reality you want that. You probably like squint to the numbers and go back and do it yourself again and compare. And so what we've done actually is we've built a very modern suite of like full-fledged takeoff and estimate software first, and then on top of that, we were like, where can we embed the AI models to make it super seamless? So like, if you were to change into Bobby and switch it over to Bobby today, like nothing about your workflow changes. Nothing changes. Except now you can click this button here and you can skip those steps. You can click this button here, you skip those steps. So we try to make it as seamless as possible. Yeah. And so there's no like trade-off between, like these features or the AI models is sort of just one thing.
How do you ensure the accuracy? And is there any sort of like guarantee or promise that you make to customers? Are there sites that perform better than others? I can imagine if there's a bunch of like trees and wood covering, and Joel, maybe this happens to you guys too, because I used to estimate stuff, and if it's all covered with trees, you can't really tell where the turf line is. So how do you ensure the accuracy of what you're doing?
So we have roughly like we're pretty confident about this. So most of like our accounting, for example, we say to customers it's like 98 to 99% accurate in terms of counts. And the ones that are wrong will flag, and we like highlight in red. And we take little screenshots of every single symbol, for example, that the model counts and shows you an example. So you can double check. And as for complexity, like yeah, I'd say like landscaping drawings are very complicated. There's so much like symbol overlap and like noise and crazy stuff. And the standardization is actually it's pretty wild. Like there's a lot of different types of symbols, and it's not as standardized as the other traits might have been. And it makes for a uniquely hard problem for our models. But that's actually the thing about our models. We train our models to work on drawings that it's never seen before. And that's that's sort of the whole point. Like we know that every time we get a drawing from a customer, there's a very good chance that it's like a very different style from an architect that we've never seen before, and the model's never been practicing on this kind of stuff. And so it's about how the models work and how we train them. But we specifically like that's what our breakthroughs allow us to do. We allow models to work on things that it's never been trained before on. Yeah.
Joel, you look like you have something really awesome to add.
I'll speak to that too, though. With AI and lawns from satellite and aerial imagery, lawns look different across the country. So to a human, you can look at it and you'll be like, oh, that's grass in Florida, that's grass in Texas or Iowa. But to an AI model, the grass, the color is a little different, so it can be considerably different. And then with trees play a big role too. It's very difficult to see from satellite imagery under trees. So what we started to do is we started to pull in aerial imagery from planes that would fly over during leaves off times of the year where a lot of the leaves were down or they'd fallen off. But not imagery when they fly over and it's snow on the ground, because you can't see grass if there's 2 inches of snow. So yeah, it's a complex problem, and that's why we had to build our data set in almost every state of the country. And even to this day, there's parts of the country where it's not quite as precise. Like our AI still thinks it can't tell the difference between artificial turf and real turf from aerial imagery. That's it's a very tough problem. But yeah, it's difficult.
Like sometimes humans can't even tell. Like we get these drawings and it's like some super blurry like scan drawing, like someone printed it out and like, scanned it into a scanner, and like I'm like squinting at these symbols, like what's going on over here? And it's just like one blurry mess. And it's interesting actually. Like we find mistakes in the drawings too with our AI models, and it's like you never would have caught this kind of stuff, and it's like very bizarre. But that's like sort of what models are good at. It's good at like once it's learned something, it can replicate it many times super quickly. Yeah.
Joel, what's the risk of having a homeowner do their own measurements, though? You know, are they going to be accurate? I mean, they know they're savvy buyers that if I only measure half of my backyard, I'll get a different price.
Yeah, so within our product, the AI automatically measures, and you can see all the highlighted turf. And then if your company, you can turn on or turn off the ability for the homeowner to remove parts of the property. And you can also leave a message, so they set expectations. I think it's all about setting expectations. Some companies will not only do the front lawn; they want to do, they'll only treat the whole lawn. So it just depends on your business. And but if you gave it to the if you gave the whole process to the consumer, you would see them trying to figure out how to draw. They would draw lines all over. That's why the way we've built it is the AI measures everything, and then you let the homeowner maybe edit if they want. So.
Yes, yeah. Grant, so yours is a little bit different, but how do you ensure accuracy of the numbers that you're pulling on these people and a lot of it's homeowners, right?
Yes. We're only in the residential space. We're really excited about getting into contractors, subcontractors, seeing their profiles in the future. That's always same as you guys, I'm sure. Just always innovating, always thinking of 10 steps ahead, so you can go 2 steps back to go back 10 steps ahead. The way we ensure it is our data is pulled 3 different API calls, and that data, some of the data is public data. We just make it more convenient. Other data is pulled by credit bureaus, which I have since learned, if you get that card in the mail that says you've been pre-qualified for this credit card, they pull the same data. If you get, hey, your business can now do a $500,000 loan at 3.2%, they've pulled your data. Crazy stat. I mean, all this AI talk too. Like, if you pull into if you're looking to buy a new truck, you pull into the dealership. If your geolocation's on, they pull this data on you. So by the time you walk in on I want this Range Rover, like, nah, you want a Honda Civic. Like, so it's everywhere. I've got a lot of comments of like, dude, this seems illegal. Well, if I sell business to business, it is. So you have to be a registered company in the United States of America. We on the back end will pull your EIN number. If we don't have your EIN number, we can't find it for federal tax ID. We ask you for it to fill it in. If you don't fill it in, then you will get rejected off the site. So we have to be B2B. But yeah, and there are, I'm not gonna lie, there are inaccuracies, just like everything. We always say 9 out of 10 are correct. If you we looked up a billionaire and his disposable income was $170,000, but he also owns jets and a private dormy network of golf courses. So what he shows and what he has, there are some inaccuracies. But for the vast majority of people, over 40 million houses we have on record in the United States, 9 out of 10 is correct. So.
Are there any complementary products that would work well with customer insights now?
Yeah, so for customer insight now, again, the innovations, what we might be working, where we're trying to work with is integrations with, CRM models that say, hey, I already have this software. We already use this onboarding technology. The second that sends an email to me, can that be with me? And so we've actually started talking to people. Again, we're very in the new stages. It's been awesome, the feedback, and we've had great customer success already. But yeah, that's an opportunity for us in the future. The other opportunity we look forward to, just again for future reference, is possibly being able to allow our customers to get financing through this. If the homeowner may not be able to figure it out, you can send email to your homeowner through our app, and they can get 3 different quotes from for a loan company that can say if you would like financing on your property. So those are things we look into, things we look to onboard. But yeah, definitely, we even talked like Synced Up today, like as an opportunity. The second you get your client in, you see their customer insight information instead of taking 5 seconds to go to our app. Makes it even easier.
Yeah, that's great. Michael, what about you? Any complementary products that work well with Bob Yard?
I think the most common combinations that we see is like, a takeoff tool, like existing workflows. The contractor would have like a takeoff tool, and then like a huge Excel table or many Excel tables for the estimates, and then some sort of business management platform in the back, Element, Aspire, sometimes like Build a Trend or something like that, or Procore sometimes as well, or Sage. And generally, we would try to do the entire pre-construction flow. So like you can do the entire estimate and proposal and bid creation in Bob Yard, and then afterwards, you can export it out very easily and go into any of the business management platforms. Like now you can do budgeting and whatnot as well afterwards, and compare the predicted versus actual, and measure. Yeah.
Yeah. Joel, what about you? Anything that complements Deep Lawn very well, or what do you guys have planned for the future?
So our software, it integrates with a lot of the CRMs. So a lot of companies will use our tool to sell on their website, to quote, and then those sales will then get pushed into the CRM, the management software, where they can then route and do the operations, do fulfillment, all that. As far as what's next is this year, we're going to expand our partnerships and integrations with a lot of the CRMs. So we already do like, I think 60% of the CRMs we integrate with. We're going to try to integrate with the remaining 40% and then open up Zapier integrations and more APIs and broaden our partnerships. So that's the big thing.
That's great. What trends, Joel, we'll stick with you here. What trends are you seeing in the green industry that are exciting? And this will probably be our last question. So, and any other kind of closing thoughts that you might have, but I really do want to touch on trends and where you see us as an industry going.
So I think the biggest trend that I'm most excited about is there are now a couple companies out there that have technology that tracks. One of them is called Smart Spray Technologies. The other one is called Optics Technologies. And they track the chemicals, what is sprayed where on a property. And they also compile all of that into reporting. Also track what granular is spread on a property. and in real time it tracks it rather than the technician writing down what they use. And I think that's huge because a lot of communities have a ton of runoff. Lawn care companies do not. It's not as much as ag, but there can be runoff if you over apply chemicals on a property. So tracking that and having it automatically compile to then report, I think is really cool, because that technology did not exist. It's existed in the ag space, but it has not ever existed in the lawn care space. So as technology makes these little smart systems and smart controllers cheaper, it's enabling this technology to be affordable for lawn care companies. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about continuing AI more and more. But those are the main things. And then robotics. I think there some of the folks here. I was just listening to Joe Langton's speech upstairs, and robot mowers, robot golf ball pickers, automated ball wash systems, like all that. They're going to continue to be everywhere. So like in 10 years, I bet 50% of normal mowers will be robots. And that seems like a far way away because it's only probably 1% right now or less. But I do think as labor goes up, it's going, technology like robotic mowers is going to be needed to be able to keep costs down. So
Yeah, those are two very awesome. I did not know about the FERT counters, and that seems pretty cool. And it not only benefits the landscaper in keeping their costs down, but it also benefits our entire world. So that's great. Michael, let's go to you. Any last closing thoughts? What's exciting you the most about the green industry and the trajectory that we're on? What gets you excited?
I do think I do. I do think I see some trends. The first one is about, I think, the new generation of landscape businesses. Like, I think a panel or two before this was one about, young, under 30 landscape owners or something like that, multi-million-dollar businesses. And there's so many of these new companies popping up, and they run their businesses in a very different way. It's like super numbers driven. Like I want, and they have enormous ambitions, and they have a huge roadmap. Like these like this is how we're gonna grow our business to be $100 million in, like, I don't know, 15, 20 years, 30 years. And it's just a lot of energy, and it's an energy placed in the right place. Right. And I think we also see this in terms of our customers. More and more of our, we call it mid-market, but basically medium-sized landscapers are starting to think like the enterprise, like starting to think like the largest landscaping companies in the world. And the way that historically they've been thinking about different products, and for example, how they purchase, is very different. Like, for example, we can show Bob Yard to a very large landscaper and, like, a really large commercial one, and they pull up their ROI models and financial models and whatnot, and do some calculations, and like, this is so-and-so makes sense and so-and-so doesn't make sense. And more we see basically our mid-market and smaller companies start having that sophistication. And they have very, very deep insight into the business and how they run and exactly what metrics need to be tracked in order to improve it. And it's like, if you can track it, then you can improve it. But if you don't track it, you definitely can't. Like, businesses don't become more successful by accident. And I think the new generation is very, very thoughtful about it. And we really do hope that, like, Bobber's mission here is to really help this new generation and really empower them to achieve their goals. Yeah.
That's awesome. Brant, what about you? What's exciting you about the future of the green industry, where we're heading, and any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I'm most excited about, like, these technologies here. AI, all, like, it sounds crazy. From a kid to grow up on a farm, like, AI is taking over. There's technology doing everything. It's like, there's no way that'll happen. It did, and it's awesome, right? Never thought I'd be running an app in my entire life. But I got what I grew up with was called, my dad always called it the Amazon effect. Amazon delivers in a day. Walmart, you want it, you go get it. In the past, it was, you want it, okay, maybe you order it. When online came, it might take a week, that's okay. Let's go to Walmart or wherever, the store. If they don't have it, hey, we'll get it in 3-4 days, you can come get it. It's different, right? So what did that happen? What happened when that relayed to our customers? Our customers like, hey, you looked at this project. You're going to do a 3D design and an estimate. Let me know. When will it get done? Oh, yeah, we'll get it done. 2 days later, it's like, so is that 3D design that takes 16 hours done? Like, am I not your only customer? Like, let's go. It's like, hey, we already kind of told you it might be a week or two. Like, yeah, but is it not done? Okay, we get that done. The estimating, before estimating software and stuff like this is like, when is that going to get done? Yeah, well, we're kind of backed up right now. It'll be about a week, and those are the things that. And I was just talking to a gentleman, but when you get an estimate, it was synced up actually. When you get an estimate, you get them to them, just like what you guys are doing. When you get them to them right away, the closing rates are just ridiculous, right? Like, I mean, I'll sell your guys' company too, right? Like, the second you like, hey, here's my design, they could go home, they get an email, here's your estimate. Everybody else is doing the, hey, give me a week. Hey, sorry, we're backed up. Not only do you not have to be the cheapest price, you're credible. They trust you. You have a lot of, I didn't have to think about this for 3 weeks. So that whole, what we call the Amazon effect, the Walmart effect, right? They changed the game of, hey, it's going to be 4 days. No, it's today. You can have it now. In fact, some of that Amazon stuff, bigger cities like this, like, yeah, you can have it in an hour, stuff like that. Like, nuts to me. But that's the same concept of you go online, you get Deeplon, and you go like, hey, boom, boom. Hey, I just made 20 estimates today. How long did that take you? Well, it kind of did it for me. You know, hey, I already have Bob Yard. I'm going to put it in there, and I just did 40 estimates today. Like, dude, that one took me the whole day. Like, that's what excites me. Like, AI sounds crazy. Technology sounds crazy. App sounds crazy to me. The numbers we pull up, people are like, dude, these are crazy. There's no way is this legal kind of thing. It's like, no, it's out there. It's new, and that's what's fun to me. I appreciate being on this panel with you guys. It's always fun to learn. I appreciate everybody come out. You know, Synced for having us. It's always a great event, but that's what excites me about the things that are crazy. And not only are the young generation know about it, they trust it. I feel like as you're going into the older generation, they're like, well, we have to. If we don't, like, we're going to be behind. And then they find out, like, shoot, that's actually really good. So that's what excites me, that whole Amazon effect where everything comes now. Everything that you see up here, they're giving it to you. It's right now. And you're going to land more customers, and you can choose your customers. So.
Well, thank you guys. It was a pleasure being able to facilitate this panel. Let's give them a round of applause. And I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of the show and safe travels back home.